Okay, so this one is going to be about the layers of the heart. So when we look at the heart, there's various layers that the heart is composed of, and they have very special functions. So we're just going to go over that one real quick. So if this is my model heart that I have out all the time, okay. So if you can see in here, we have the actual inside of the heart um, here, and we'll talk about what that very inside layer is. And then we've got to have lots of muscle because the heart is so important of pumping all of that blood that the muscle part of it has to be extremely strong. So muscle is going to be a major portion of that. And then we've got the very, very outside of the heart right out here. Okay. So just kind of want to give you that visual representation before we drew it on the board. Okay. So we talk about the very, very inside of the heart. It's just a small little layer, nothing thick, nothing huge, just kind of separating the heart itself from the blood that's flowing through it. And we're going to call that the endocardium. Okay, so that's the endocardium. And then, like I said, the muscle layer has to be really, really big in order to do the heart's muscles or the heart's job properly. Because that's its main job is to pump, which requires lots of muscle. Okay, so we're going to have a really, really thick layer, and that's the muscle layer, and we're going to call it the myocardium. Okay, and then we've got that outside layer that I talked about. Look, so on the outside. Okay, it's fairly thin, and I'll discuss why it looks so thick in just a second. We're going to call this the pericardium. Okay. So endo, if you're in med term, if you've taken med term, if you know anything about it, endo always means inside. So that tells you that it's inside of the heart versus on the outside. We have the inside of the heart, we have the muscle part of the heart, and then we have the outside of the heart. So what's special about this pericardium layer out here is that it's composed of two different layers that are spread like this. Okay, and then we've got fluid that's on the inside of that, and that fluid is called pericardial fluid. Sorry. Okay, so it's pericardial fluid that's on the inside. If you sit there and you rub your hands together, your hands are going to get warm because of the friction that you cause by having them rub together. The same goes with when our heart beats. As it's beating, it's moving, and you're going to get that constant rub, which is going to eventually cause friction and cause everything to get warm. And that's not good because we don't want to obviously cook our heart. So that pericardial layer has that fluid that's in between there. So when it does move, it makes it easier and it doesn't cause all that friction and it doesn't cause it to get as hot. And therefore it can function more effectively. Okay, so that pericardial fluid is going to be very important. We'll talk about what happens if there's too little or if there's too much. We'll talk about that. Okay, but these are the various layers. We will have problems dealing with inflammation of our endocardium layer, something wrong with the myocardial layer. We'll talk about, like I said, problems with the pericardial layer as well. So just knowing kind of where that's at. So inside of the heart is here, whereas outside of the heart is out here. Okay. So just those are the layers of the heart.